A social stock exchange, SSE, is a platform that enables the trading of securities issued by organizations that have a social or environmental mission, in addition to generating financial returns for investors. These securities are usually known as social impact bonds or green bonds and are issued by non-profit organizations, social enterprises, or companies with a strong social or environmental focus. The main idea behind an SSE is to create a marketplace where socially responsible investors can invest their money in companies and organizations that align with their values and have a positive impact on society and the environment. SSEs often have stringent requirements for companies and organizations to meet before they are allowed to list on the exchange, such as a commitment to sustainability or social responsibility. SSEs can be a powerful tool for promoting impact investing and driving capital towards organizations that are working towards social and environmental goals. However, they are still a relatively new concept, and there are only a few examples of SSEs operating in the world today. Some of the most well-known SSEs include the Social Stock Exchange in the UK and the Bombay Stock Exchange in India, which has launched a separate platform for listing green bonds. The Social Stock Exchange, SSE, in India is an initiative by the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, to promote funding and investment in social and environmental sectors. The SSE in India was first proposed in 2012 and was officially launched in 2019. The primary objective of the SSE is to provide a platform for social enterprises, non-profit organizations, and other entities that are working towards social and environmental objectives to raise capital. The SSE provides a platform for these entities to list their securities, including equity and debt instruments, and connect with socially responsible investors who are interested in investing in socially responsible businesses. The SSE in India has certain eligibility criteria for listing, which includes a demonstrated commitment to social or environmental causes in compliance with the applicable regulatory requirements. The SSE is still in its early stages of development and has a limited number of listings, but it has the potential to drive significant capital towards socially responsible businesses and organizations in India. Overall, the SSE in India is a positive development for impact investing in the country, and it has the potential to create a new avenue for funding social and environmental causes while also generating financial returns for investors. To register as a social enterprise on a social stock exchange, such as the Social Stock Exchange in India, an organization needs to meet certain eligibility criteria and follow a specific listing process. The eligibility criteria for listing on the SSE in India include: the entity should be registered as a non-profit organization, a social enterprise, or a company with a social purpose. The entity should have a demonstrated commitment to social or environmental causes. The entity should comply with the applicable regulatory requirements. The entity should have a minimum track record of 2 years in operations. Once an organization meets these eligibility criteria, it can initiate the listing process by submitting an application to the SSE. The listing process typically involves a thorough review of the organization's financial and operational performance, as well as its social and environmental impact. If the organization meets all the necessary requirements and is approved for listing on the SSE, it can then issue securities such as equity and debt instruments that can be traded on the exchange. Listing on a social stock exchange can be a significant opportunity for social enterprises to access capital and raise awareness about their social or environmental mission. Additionally, it can help attract socially responsible investors who are interested in investing in companies and organizations that align with their values. The registration process to list on the Social Stock Exchange, SSE, in India varies depending on the specific exchange. Currently, there are 2 main exchanges in India that offer SSE platforms: the Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, and the National Stock Exchange, NSE. To register with the BSE SSE, an organization needs to meet certain eligibility criteria, such as being a social enterprise or a non-profit organization with a social or environmental purpose, and having a minimum 2-year track record of operations. The organization also needs to comply with the BSE's listing requirements, which include financial and operational criteria, corporate governance standards, and social and environmental impact metrics. Similarly, to register with the NSE SSE, an organization needs to meet specific eligibility criteria, including being registered as a social enterprise, non-profit organization, or company with a social or environmental purpose. The organization also needs to comply with the NSE's listing requirements, which include financial and operational criteria, as well as social and environmental impact metrics. Once an organization meets the eligibility criteria and complies with the listing requirements of the specific SSE, it can submit an application to list on the exchange. The application process typically involves a thorough review of the organization's financial and operational performance, as well as its social and environmental impact. If the organization meets all the necessary requirements and is approved for listing on the SSE, it can then issue securities, such as equity and debt instruments, that can be traded on the exchange. Overall, listing on the SSE can be a valuable opportunity for social enterprises and other organizations with a social or environmental purpose to raise capital and connect with socially responsible investors who are interested in investing in companies that align with their values.